Now, before moving on to code the alternating behavior of our class that will change the color of the material from white to red and then back again, there is something else that I want to show you. Let me just bring back MonoDevelop and let's take a look at our switch material color function. You can see that in the very first statement, what we do is we get a mesh renderer component, and that is the mesh renderer component attached to the object. But you might be wondering as to what would actually happen if we attached this script file to an object in the scene that did not have a mesh renderer component. What would happen when this function switch material color was called? Well, let's give that a try. Let's just minimize MonoDevelop and choose Game Object, Create Empty, and drag and drop the material change class onto it. So you can see it's added to it here in the Object Inspector. And now I'm going to press play on the toolbar. And you can see right away at the bottom in the console that we get an error. So we get an error when that happens, when it encounters an object that does not have the necessary component. So I'm just going to clear the console out here and delete this newly added game object and return back to MonoDevelop. So we do get an error, and most of the time developers can be careful about which script files they attach to which objects. But we can make our life a little bit easier, and Unity provides us with a C# statement to do that. We can actually add a specifier up here at the top of the class to indicate that the code of this class relies on particular components. So let's see how to do that. I'm going to insert a new line here, and I'm just going to insert the statement require component. Notice that it's between an opening brace here. So require component, and then we can specify the type of the component. So I'm going to say type of, and I'm going to specify mesh renderer, so it's of a type mesh renderer, and there we complete the statement. So I'm saying that this class, change material, relies on the component mesh renderer. The object must have that component. So let's press Ctrl S on the keyboard to save those changes. Now if I select the plain object in the scene, you will see that there is no difference at all. But if I create a completely new game object, I choose Game Object, Create Empty, and then I drag and drop the Change Material class onto it, you can see that as I do that, it adds not only the Change Material component, but also the Mesh Renderer component. The Unity here was smart enough to detect that the Change Material component required a Mesh Renderer. It saw that this object did not have one, and so it added a mesh renderer to the object. In the case of objects such as this plane here, it already has a mesh renderer, so Unity will not add one. The script file will use the mesh renderer that is there already. So I'm going to delete this blank object here, and that really just shows us how we can add extra lines to our code to make our work in C# just that little bit easier.